The great hall on Kepler-4 for to be buzzed with fear. 47 different alien species sat around a massive circular table, but their usual calm was gone. Today, they were scared. Admiral Kongdeho stood at the back of the human section, watching the aliens talk. His dark uniform was simple compared to the colorful robes and strange suits the other species wore. Next to him, Captain Lee Sora checked her data pad. The numbers were bad, very bad. The Vorthok destroyed another system yesterday, Lee whispered, to Kong the tidal homeworld. 3 billion dead in 6 hours. Kong nodded but said nothing. He had read the reports. The Vorthok Empire was winning this war easily. To easily dot at the center of the table, a tall, glowing alien stood up. This was Valandra, leader of the Galactic Assembly. Her body looked like it was made of pure light, but today that light seemed dim. Worried, friends, Valandra said, her voice filling the hall like music. We gather in our darkest hour. The Vorthok Empire has taken half our galaxy. Our fleets are broken. Our worlds burn. The other aliens made sounds of agreement. Some clicked their claws. Others hummed low notes. A few just sat silent, too scared to speak. We have tried everything, Valandra continued. We offered them trade deals. We gave them empty systems to settle. We even offered tribute. But they want only one thing: complete surrender. A crystal-like alien named Resonant Prime spoke up. His voice sounded like breaking glass. Yesterday, they sent us their final demand. Surrender in 7 days, or they will destroy every world. In the assembly, fear filled the room like smoke. Some aliens began to shake. Others made quiet crying sounds. Ambassador Park Hyenwu sat at the human table, listening carefully. He was Earth's top diplomat, but he had been a soldier before. He knew what these aliens did not understand. They were thinking like prey animals. The Vorthok were thinking like hunters. Valandra turned toward the human section. Her glowing eyes focused on Park. Honored humans, she said, walking closer. Your people have stayed neutral in this war. We understand you prefer not to fight, but perhaps you could help us negotiate. Park raised an eyebrow. Negotiate. Yes, Valandra said, hope creeping into her voice. The Vorthok respect. Strength. They see humans as warriors, like themselves. Maybe they would listen to you. Maybe you could convince them to accept a peace treaty. Other aliens began to nod eagerly. Yes, the humans could talk to them, said an aquatic alien through his water helmet. Human warriors speaking to Vorthok warriors. They might find common. Ground Park looked at Colonel Kim Minho, who sat beside him. Kim's face showed nothing, but Park caught the tiny shake of his head. They both knew the truth. The Vorthok were not warriors. They were bullies. And bullies only understood one language. We will consider your request, Park said carefully. But first, tell me about their military strength. Valandra's light brightened a little. They have massive fleets. Each ship is like a flying fortress. Thick armor, powerful guns, shield generators. Their largest ships are 5 times bigger than our biggest vessels. How do they fight? Park asked. They form huge battle lines, answered Resident Prime. Hundreds of ships moving together like a wall. They just fly straight at our fleets and blast everything with their big guns. Our ships are fast, but their weapons are too powerful. Our shields break, our hulls crack, and we die. Park nodded slowly. These aliens built their ships for exploration and trade. Beautiful, elegant, but weak. The Vorthok built theirs for war, but they fought like ancient armies. Big, slow, obvious. They have over 10,000 warships, Valandra added. We managed to destroy maybe 50 before our fleets scattered. They barely noticed. Colonel Kim leaned forward. What about their ground forces? Brutal, said a furry alien with 6 arms. They land in huge transports, thousands of soldiers in heavy armor. They carry weapons that can punch through building walls. Our security forces use stun weapons and non-lethal tools. We never stood a chance. Park understood now. These aliens had lived in peace for so long, they forgot how to make war. They built beautiful cities, amazing art, incredible technology, but they never learned to kill efficiently. The Vorthok were different. They conquered and enslaved, but they were sloppy. about it. Brutal, but not smart. They relied on fear and overwhelming numbers, not skill or tactics. A soft chime filled the hall. Valandra's assistant, a small floating sphere, projected a hologram in the center of the table. It showed a Vorthok commander, tall and covered in black scales. Red eyes glowed in his skull-like face. "People of the assembly," the Vorthok said, his voice like grinding metal. "I am war leader Gaskar. You have 6 days left to surrender. Choose wisely. Bend the knee and serve the Empire, or watch your worlds burn. There will be no negotiation, no mercy, only submission or death." The hologram flickered off. Silence filled the hall like a heavy blanket. Valandra turned back to Park. "Please," she said, and now her voice shook with desperation. "Help us find peace. We have children, families, entire civilizations depending on us. We cannot fight these monsters, but maybe you can reason with them." Park stood up slowly. Around the table, 47 alien species looked at him with hope in their eyes. They saw humans as just another warlike species. They had no idea what they were really asking for. "We will send our answer tomorrow," Park said simply. As the meeting ended and aliens began to leave, Colonel Kim moved closer to Park. "Sir, are we really going to try talking to these Vorthok?" Park watched the aliens file out, their heads down, their spirits broken. Good people facing extinction because they never learned that sometimes peace could only be won through war. "No, Colonel," Park said quietly. "We're going to do something much more effective. We're going to remind the galaxy why humans are called Deathworlders." Kim smiled grimly. "Should I contact Fleet Command?" "Tell Admiral Choi to prepare the fleet," Park said. "Full deployment." "And Kim?" "Yes, sir. Tell him to bring everything. These aliens want peace. We're going to give it to them, permanently." Deep under Mount Fuji, Fleet Admiral Choi In-soo stood before the largest war room on Earth. Holographic displays showed every corner of the galaxy. Red dots marked Vorthok fleets. Blue dots showed what was left of the assembly forces. It was not a pretty picture. "Report," Choi said to his staff. Captain Lim Sang-wook stepped forward. His black uniform bore the insignia of the Ghost Division, humanity's stealth forces. "Sir, the Vorthok have 11,000 ships and 40 fleets. Their largest vessels are crude but heavily armed. They fight like they're still using swords and shields." "Weaknesses?" Choi asked. "Many," said Dr. Shin Haijin, the fleet's chief scientist. "They group their ships too close together. They fly in straight lines. They don't use proper sensor nets. And sir, they've never fought humans before." Choi nodded. The Vorthok had conquered peaceful species for centuries. They thought all space combat was about big guns and thick armor. They had no idea what real war looked like. "Fleet status?" Choi asked. Admiral Kim Yujin pulled up another display. "First fleet is ready for immediate deployment. 200 ships, including the Ragnarok. Second and third fleets can launch in 6 hours. All vessels are armed with full combat loads." Choi studied the numbers. Humanity had only 800 warships total. The Vorthok had 11,000. But the aliens at the assembly didn't understand something important. Human ships weren't built like alien ships. They were built to kill. "Orders, sir?" Kim asked. "Launch first fleet immediately," Choi said. "Target the Vorthok force at Proxima Relay. Show them what Deathworlders can do." 3 days later, Admiral Kong Daeho stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable. Through the main screen, he could see the Proxima Relay, a massive space station that connected 12 star systems. Vorthok ships surrounded it like angry hornets. "Enemy count?" Kong asked. 400 ships, Captain Lee Sora reported from her tactical station. "Their flagship is the Bone Crusher, 8 kilometers long, bristling with plasma cannons." Count 50 ships in attack formation," Lee said. "Plus Captain Lim's stealth squadron hidden in the asteroid field." The odds were 8-1 against the humans. "Perfect signal from the Vorthok flagship," the communications officer reported. "They want to talk. Put them on screen," Kong ordered. The display flickered, showing a massive Vorthok in black armor. His red eyes glowed with confidence. "I am war leader Star. You fly human ships into Vorthok space. Surrender now, and I will kill you quickly. Kang stepped forward, his hands clasped behind his back. I am Admiral Kang of the Human Defense Fleet. You have 5 minutes to withdraw from this system. Gaster laughed, a sound like grinding metal. 50 ships against 400. You are either very brave or very stupid, human. We're efficient, Kong replied calmly. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. The transmission cut off. On the tactical display, the Vorthok fleet began to move. Their ships formed a massive wall, just like the assembly aliens had described. Hundreds of vessels flying straight forward, guns blazing. They're doing exactly what we expected, Lee said with a cold smile. No creativity at all. Execute Battle Plan Alpha, Kong ordered. The human fleet scattered like a school of fish. Instead of forming a line to meet the enemy, they split into small groups. Each group moved in a different direction, using the gravity of nearby asteroids to change course unpredictably. What are they doing? Gaster roared on his bridge. They're not fighting properly. His tactical officer, a scarred veteran named Krath, studied the display. Sir, they're using gravitational slingshots to increase speed, and they single quotes read ... dancing. That was exactly what it looked like. While Vorthok ships lumbered forward in their rigid formation, human vessels curved and twisted through space like dancers. They used every piece of debris, every gravity well, every sensor shadow to their advantage. First target acquired, Lee reported. Vorthok cruiser Painbringer, isolated from the main fleet. Fire, Kong ordered. The Indomitable didn't use energy, weapons like most galactic species. Instead, it launched kinetic projectiles, chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds. The projectiles hit the Vorthok cruiser's armor and punched straight through, creating massive holes. But that was just the beginning. As the cruiser's hull cracked, small objects shot out of the Indomitable's launch tubes. They looked like metal footballs with tiny engines. Boarding pods deployed. Lee announced. The pods slammed into the damaged cruiser. Within minutes, explosions began blooming along the ship's hull. Human Marines had planted charges inside vital systems. Painbringer is down, Lee reported as the cruiser broke apart. One down, 399 to go, Kong said quietly. But the humans weren't done. Captain Lim's stealth ships suddenly appeared throughout the Vorthok fleet. They had been hiding in asteroid fields, using advanced cloaking technology. Now they struck from every direction at once. Impossible! Gaster screamed as explosions erupted around his fleet. Where did they come from? His sensors showed chaos. Human ships appeared from nowhere, fired devastating attacks, then vanished again. The Vorthok tried to respond, but their big guns couldn't track fast-moving targets. Sir, we're losing ships faster than we can count them, Kraft reported, fear creeping into his voice. On the Indomitable, Lee coordinated the assault with cold precision. Ghost Squadron, target their command ships. Strike Force, Beta hit their supply vessels. Hammer Squadron, break their formation. Human tactics were simple but deadly. Don't fight fair. Don't give the enemy time to think. Hit them from directions they never expected. Use their size and numbers against them. The Vorthok had thick armor and powerful weapons, but they fought like creatures from an ancient age. They expected their enemies to line up and trade shots like gentlemen. Humans fought like the apex predators. They were there. Formation is collapsing, Lee reported. Half their ships are dead in space. The rest are trying to retreat. No, Kong said firmly. No survivors to report our capabilities. Finish them. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 400 Vorthok ships were nothing but wreckage. The human fleet had lost exactly 3 vessels, and 2 of those were repairable. Gaster S flagship, the mighty Bone Crusher, drifted helplessly. Its engines were gone, its weapons destroyed, its crew dead or captured. The war leader himself sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display in shock. This is impossible, he whispered. We are the strongest fleet in the galaxy. We conquered 100 worlds. How did 50 human ships destroy us? Captain Lim materialized on his bridge, having beamed over from his stealth ship. The human was smaller than any Vorthok warrior, but something in his eyes made hardened killers step back. "You want to know how?" Lim asked quietly. "You fight like you're playing a game. We fight like our children's lives depend on it. That's the difference between conquerors and Deathworlders." News of the battle spread across the galaxy in hours. The Galactic Assembly watched in stunned silence as reports poured in. The mighty Vorthok fleet, the terror of 100 worlds, had been completely destroyed by a small human force. Valandra stood in her private chambers, reading the battle reports. Her glowing form flickered with confusion and something that might have been feared. "They didn't negotiate," she whispered to her aide. "They didn't try to make peace. They just ... erased them." On Earth, Ambassador Park received urgent communications from across the galaxy. Every assembly species wanted to know the same thing. What did the humans want? Park smiled as he prepared his response. The galaxy was about to learn that when Death spoke of peace, they meant something very different than everyone else. "Prepare a message to all assembly worlds," Park told his staff. "Tell them the age of galactic bullies is over, and tell them who's in charge now." The Vorthok homeworld of Kethmara had never seen enemy ships in its skies. For 1,000 years, it had been the heart of an empire built on fear and conquest. Now, human warships hung in orbit like dark angels of judgment. General Oh Sungwon stood on the bridge of the troop transport Steel Rain, watching the planet below. Massive cities covered the surface, built from the stolen wealth of 100 conquered worlds. Today, those cities would learn what defeat looked like. "Enemy fleet, status O," asked his aide. "Completely destroyed, sir," Major Han Jae-sung reported. "Admiral Kong's forces eliminated the last Vorthok ship 6 hours ago. The planet is defenseless." Oh nodded. The Vorthok had pulled every ship back to defend their homeworld. It hadn't mattered. Human tactics were too advanced. Human weapons too precise. The entire Vorthok space fleet now floated as wreckage around their own planet. Signal from the surface, the communications officer announced. "Emperor Dakina requests to speak with you." "Put him on screen." Oh, ordered. The display showed a massive Vorthok in golden armor, sitting on a throne made from the bones of his enemies. His red eyes burned with rage and something else, fear. "Human General," Dakina growled, "I am Emperor of the Vorthok Empire. You have won battles, but you cannot conquer us. We are warriors. We will fight to the last breath." Oh, studied the alien emperor calmly. "Your Majesty, you have exactly 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. After that, we demonstrate why Earth is called a death world." "Never!" Dakina roared. "We are the strongest race in the galaxy. We conquered worlds when your species was still learning to make fire." 59 minutes, Oh replied, and cut the transmission. The hour passed in silence. Vorthok forces on the surface prepared for invasion. Millions of soldiers took positions in the cities. Massive guns pointed at the sky. They waited for human troops to land. They waited for the wrong thing. At exactly 1 hour, engineer Kwandong Hyen activated humanity's newest weapon from the research ship, Prometheus. It was called the Stellar Disruption Array, a device that could make stars unstable. The weapon didn't target the planet. It targeted Kethmara's sun. "Firing," Quan announced quietly. A beam of pure energy, invisible to most sensors, reached across space and touched the star. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sun began to flicker. On the planet's surface, every Vorthok looked up in horror as their sun started to pulse. Light levels changed every few seconds. The temperature began to drop. "What have you done?" Dakina screamed over the communications channel. "We destabilized your star," Oh replied calmly. "In 6 hours, it will explode. Your entire system will be destroyed unless ... Unless what? Unless you surrender completely, unconditionally, right now." The silence stretched for long minutes. Finally, Dakina's voice came through, broken and defeated. "We ... We surrender. Please, stop the weapon. We surrender." "Smart choice," Oh said Quan. "Stabilize their star." The engineer worked at his controls. Slowly, the sun returned to normal. The Vorthok Empire, conqueror of 100 worlds, had been defeated not by invasion, but by the threat of turning their own star into a weapon. 3 months later, the Galactic Assembly met again on Kepler 44 to be. But this time, everything was different. The hall looked the same, but the mood had changed completely. The 47 alien species sat quietly, watching the humans at their table. Fear and respect mixed in their eyes. Ambassador Park stood up to address the assembly. Next to him sat Admiral Kim Eugen, the new head of the Galactic Defense Initiative. Her uniform was clean and simple, but everyone knew what human uniforms represented now. Friends, Park began. 3 months ago, you asked us to help you find peace. We did exactly that. Valandra, the Luminary leader, glowed dimly. You destroyed the entire Vorthok Empire in 72 hours. Their homeworld is under military occupation. Their fleets are scrap metal. Their colonies have surrendered. Yes, Park agreed, and now there is peace. No more conquest fleets. No more genocide. No more empires built on the suffering of others. But at what cost? Asked Resonant, his crystal voice shaking. Your weapons can destroy stars. Your ships appear from nowhere. Your soldiers fight like ... like demons. Park's expression didn't change. The cost of peace is eternal vigilance. The strong must protect the weak. That's what we do now. Admiral, Kim stood up, her hands clasped behind her back. The Galactic Defense Initiative is operational. Human fleets patrol every major system. Any aggression against assembly worlds will be met with immediate response. You mean you're watching us? Said an aquatic alien through his water helmet, monitoring our every move. We're protecting you, Kim corrected. From others and from yourselves. A small furry alien raised 6 arms nervously. What if we don't want your protection? The silence that followed was heavy. Every species in the room understood the unspoken truth. They weren't being asked. They were being told. The galaxy has new rules now, Park explained patiently. No more aggressive expansion. No more slavery. No more genocide. Trade freely. Explore peacefully. But harm others and face the consequences. And if we break these rules, asked quietly, Admiral Kim's smile was cold. Then you'll discover why the Vorthok Empire no longer exists. 1 year later, Captain Beak Yonji patrolled the former Vorthok territories aboard the peacekeeping vessel Harmony's Edge. Her ship was smaller than the great warships that had won the war, but it carried the same message. Humans were watching. Status report. She asked her bridge crew. All systems quiet, her tactical officer reported. The Vorthok colonies are adapting well to the new government. Production is up. Crime is down. No signs of rebellion. Beak nodded. The occupied Vorthok worlds were learning to be productive. Members of Galactic Society. General O's military government was strict but fair. Work hard, obey the law, and live in peace. It was simple. Signal from the Kepler system, her communications officer announced. 2 alien fleets are facing off near the trade routes. Looks like a territorial dispute. Set course for Kepler. Beak ordered. Maximum speed. The Harmony's Edge dropped out of hyperspace between the 2 fleets. Each side had about 30 ships. Nothing compared to the old Vorthok armadas, but enough to start a war. This is Captain Beak of the Galactic Defense Initiative. She broadcast to both fleets. You have 60 seconds to stand down and return to your home systems. Human ship, came an angry reply. This is not your concern. We have a rightful claim to this system. 50 seconds, Beak replied calmly. The alien fleets hesitated. Everyone had heard the stories. Everyone knew what happened to species that challenged human authority. We're withdrawing, both fleet commanders said almost simultaneously. Within minutes, both fleets had jumped to hyperspace. The disputed system was peaceful again. Beak smiled as she watched them go. Another day, another peace kept. Back on Earth, Ambassador Park stood in his Geneva office, looking out at the night sky. Somewhere up there, human ships patrolled the galaxy. Somewhere out there, alien species lived in peace because humans had chosen to be their guardians. His aide entered the room. Sir, the weekly reports from the fleet. Park took the data pad. 12 minor disputes resolved without violence. 3 potential conflicts stopped before they started. 0 casualties among protected species. Any problems? Park asked. The Luminari are asking again about reducing the human military presence in their space. Park sighed. Tell them the same thing we always tell them. The day the galaxy doesn't need protection is the day we'll go home. And when will that be, sir? Park looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, new species were discovering space travel. New threats might emerge. New tyrants might rise. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers. Probably never, he said quietly. We asked for this responsibility when we chose to answer their plea for peace. Now we have to live with it. The aide left, and Park returned to his work. Reports to read, decisions to make, a galaxy to protect. It wasn't the life he had planned, but it was the life humanity had chosen. They had pleaded for peace. The Deathworlders had given it to them. Now everyone had to live with the consequences. In the depths of space, human warships continued their eternal patrol. Silent guardians of a galaxy that had learned to fear and respect the species from Earth. Peace had come at last, enforced by the most dangerous beings the universe had ever seen. And perhaps that was the most terrifying thing of all.